Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna do a quick video on how I review my cards for grading and how you can get more PSA 10s. So I've gemmed over 100 cards this year. I had an 89% gem rate in my last PSA sub. Here are some of the cards that I got back. A lot of them have already sold, unfortunately. I can't show to you guys, but Castle, the Sarah Strong's a really hard gem right there. Hannah Hidalgo, all these are bought off eBay or at card shows. So just a little preview of some stuff I've got 10s on in the past few months. What you want to do is you want to get obviously your cards. You want to get magnifying glass. It's optional, you don't need it, but it helps me a lot. Microfiber towel, these are a game changer. You need these if you're going to prep your cards for grading. Fresh sleeves, and then some card savers. You can use any brand really. I use card saver ones, but you can use BCW too. So you need these to send to the PSA or to another grading company. Let's go over how I do it. Obviously you want to get cards that are going to sell for, generally speaking, double raw in a PSA 10. So you want cards that are going to sell for more than your grading fee, which is normally around $20 depending on what level you submit at. And then you want the card to double in value after your all-in cost with the card involved too. So let's go over these. This is a Shohei Ohtani paper card. The paper cards generally are a little tougher to grade, but you can use gemrate.com. I'll pop it up on the screen here to go over the sets and also each individual card to show you the gem rate per card and per set. So I use that all the time, definitely a must. First up, I always look at centering. So normally I look at centering when I'm buying the card on eBay or when I'm buying the card at a show. If it's off centered, I normally just don't touch it because if there's one other thing wrong with the card, it could not get a PSA 10. You don't need a perfect card to get a 10, so sometimes if the multiplier on the card is a lot, I will be a little more lenient on it and send it in. I've taken chances on cards I did not think were going to get a PSA 10, they did, and I've also sent in a lot of cards that I thought were going to get a PSA 10 that didn't. So right off the rip, this Shohei Ohtani, the borders are pretty much non-existent here, so you can't tell the centering too well. I like to look at the surface next on all these cards, and as you can see, there's a little indent right there, so automatically I'm going to rule this one out. We can take a look at the rest of the card too, just to go over it. The corners do look pretty good, I think, especially them being colored at the top. The back looks pretty good as well, so it's just that little surface issue. There's also that one right there, so I'm just not even going to bother sending this one in, unfortunately. It would be a great card to get a PSA 10 on, but just not worth the risk right there. I think it'd probably get like a 7 or an 8, to be honest with you. So we're going to put that one to the side, list it on eBay as excellent, and list all the defects. Put that over here. Next up we have a Allen Ginter Jr. Caminero. These also have a pretty low gem rate, but I thought it looked pretty good at the show that I bought it from. So let's see. So right off rip again, you can look at the borders. These are a lot more clear. Looks pretty centered, I would say. I don't think it's too all centered. PSA allows 55-45 on the front and 75-25 on the back. So the back, I don't even really count the back centering that much. There's cards that have really bad centering on the back that get PSA 10. So I wouldn't worry too much about that if the rest of the card is flawless. But this one looks pretty good. Let's take a look at the surface here. So I think here there's some print lines. They might be hard to see on the camera right there. These are pretty tricky. On the back, they're okay. I've gemmed a lot of cards where there's these little print lines on the back, especially like Cooper Flag Sapphires and Black Waves from Bowman U. They had a lot of them, but this one I'm not sure of. There's quite a few print lines on the front and some other surface issues. Not scratches, but give it a quick wipe down. Also, I would not recommend using any like foreign substance or card care or anything on there, because you run the risk of altering your card, and PSA does not like that, obviously. What you can do is just breathe a little bit on it. I know it's kind of disgusting, but if you give a little breath to it and you can wipe it down, that normally helps. So just some moisture like that, and then wipe it down. But the print lines normally aren't going to come out with that. So I'm going to not send this one in just because I don't think it's worth it, personally, to take that risk on that one. Sometimes it is. I've taken a lot of risk where there are some print lines, but there's too many on that one and some other little minor surface issues, and already has a low gem rate on its own, so I'm not going to bother. Next up, we have the Stefan Castle Silver. Cool card here. I actually gemmed one of these. I sent in 3. I gemmed one of them. Really hard to grade. I sold it for like $270, I think. So we'll take a look at this. The centering is pretty rough on these Prism cards, so this one I bought on eBay looked pretty good centering wise. We'll take a look at it. So yeah, you want to look at the centering right here. These little borders looks pretty even. So that checks out. Again, give it a quick wipe down. Okay, so right here, if you can see, there's a little scratch. You can look underneath the magnifying glass right there, and yeah, a little scratch right there. I don't think it's coming out. You know, you can try to apply some moisture to it and wipe it, but yeah, it's not gonna come out. If this was like a little bit smaller or a little dimple or somewhere else that was less visible, I still might send it in just because the multiplier is so high. But that little scratch here is probably not gonna bode too well for PSA. So I'm not gonna send this one in just because a 9 is not really worth too much. Again, a dimples you can get away with. I've sent a lot of cards in that have little dimples that you can get away with. Obviously, if it's a big dimple or there's little like lines coming out of it, I would not recommend sending it in. But if it's just a small little dimple in a place where it's not too visible, go for it, you know? So next we'll look at these two. I bought both these at a card show a few days ago. This Otani, you know, again, no borders really. I guess that might be considered a border. I'm not sure, but you can look at other PSA 10s of this card to gauge the centering. So far, it looks pretty good. I don't really see anything glaring wrong with it. There's a lot of these little, like, I guess you can call them dimples, but they're at the end of all these. I'm not going to worry about all those. Just part of the design, I guess. Looks pretty good. The edges normally on these modern cards are pretty fine. I haven't had too many edge problems on there. Most of the time, it's surface issues on the chrome cards. So also on the back, if there's colored borders, that can also hurt the corners a lot. You can get whitening on the corners. I don't know if you can see right there. Maybe a little bit of whitening, I guess. I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. Like, this is what I'm going to send in regardless, just because there's nothing glaring wrong with it. You can see, you can shine it in the light here and see no indents or anything. So I would go ahead and send this one in, to be honest with you. Color match, Otani, nothing glaring wrong with it. No scratches. Centering seems pretty good. No bad white corners or anything. I think it's a go. So we're going to go ahead and send this one in. As you can tell, I've already kind of looked over these because the ones that I'm going to send in are in these card savers, but that one looks pretty good. So add it to the pile. And then lastly, we'll go over this Cal Raleigh Topps Chrome. Obviously, you want to buy normally newer cards because the older the card is, the more likely of a chance it's been graded if it's gradable. But sometimes you can find cards that are a little bit older that can still gem. So go ahead, give it a quick wipe down here, and you know, do the regular thing, shine it underneath the light. I don't see any scratches really or anything like that that's too major. There's no dimples even. Looks pretty good on the front. Let's look at the back. The back looks pretty good too. No indents or dimples. And then looking at the borders, I say they're pretty even. You know, it's really a judgment call at that point. A human's grading this at PSA, so they're going to judge it as well. One strategy I do have for you guys, if you're still watching, if you get some masking tape, if you have like a little white corner or a little fuzz on the end of it, on the edge or something, and you get some masking tape, you can fold it over and just like pluck it right there. And sometimes the fuzz will come off. Just, it's not gonna like damage the card or anything like that. Obviously, don't like go sticking the masking tape all over the card. Don't do that. But if you're just doing it a little small on the edge, that can help a lot as well. So I think that this one looks pretty good too. Good centering, Nothing wrong with the surface. The corners are fine, obviously. And yeah, I think this one's definitely a contender. So if it's in between a 9 and a 10, I normally just send it in because who knows? And normally it works out in my favor, actually. So that's kind of what I do when I go over my cards. Obviously, you want to have the right card to grade. You don't want to be grading stuff that's not going to sell well in a PSA 10. If it's for your personal collection, grade whatever you want. Like I might grade this Night Train Lane here in the next few months, and it's probably gonna get like a 1 or a 2. But hey, it's for my own personal collection, and that's what I like. So, but if I'm doing for profit for like these cards, make sure the cards you're sending in are worth it. But that's kind of my process. We ruled out 3 cards here. I don't think these would have gemmed, but these have a strong chance. So we'll see here in a few months once I get these cards back if I pre-grade them right. I like to keep track of all my pre-grades and everything. And that's going to be another topic for a new video. Hope you guys learned something here and hope I helped some people out with the grading process. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments and I will be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. And I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next one.